cost money to do this movie. They could basically not pay you more than the scale or close to it.
In 1994, Quentin Tarantino directed an American independent crime film, co-written with Roger Avary. Produced by Lawrence Bender, the movie turned out to be one of Hollywood's most interesting crime movies ever. The plot tells four intertwining tales of crime and violence in Los Angeles. It was one of Hollywood's best, capturing everyone's heart. However, behind the scenes, many things that were kept hidden could have led to the end of the movie. Decades later, John Travolta, Samuel L. Jackson, Uma Thurman, Harvey Keitel, Tim Roth, and the other cast members have decided to reveal what never made it to the screens. In this video, get ready to explore the fights, pay cuts, rumors, challenges, technical and location issues that happened on Pulp Fiction when no one was watching. Don't be surprised to know that these cast members were not just performing on stage, they may have been living out their reality on stage. Known for its graphic violence and punchy dialogue, Pulp Fiction remains one of the best crime movies of the mid-20th century. Are you ready? Let's go. The director, everyone wants to work with working with different people was the norm for many actors, but choosing a particular director over others, now that's different. And that was what happened on the set of Pulp Fiction. Working with Quentin Tarantino was not just the best part in Harvey Keitel's career, it was also a contributing factor to the success of the film. So yeah, if you didn't know it before, now you do. Years after the making of the movie, Keitel's contemporaries like Robert De Niro and Al Pacino got sucked into franchises and big-budget thrills. Unlike others, he had only shown up in one sequel, and this made everyone curious about him. During this period, Keitel was more concerned about helping young directors get their start. And for him, his standouts were his friends Martin Scorsese, Paul Schrader, and Quentin Tarantino. The Insider decided to have an interview with him, and they spoke over Zoom about whether he would be seen in a Tarantino movie again after the making of Pulp Fiction. Guess what Keitel said? No, don't guess. Let's hear what he said. The story is not over, because what we did when we met can't be over. It just can't be over in my mind and in my heart. Even if we never work together again, we'll always be working together in my own mind and heart. That tells you how much he would be willing to get on the set with his favorite director. The movie that broke all rules. Years later, John Travolta shared interesting details about working on the set. It was more than just a performance. It was a movie that broke all rules. Decades after the release of the movie, John Travolta and other cast members were called for an interview on CBS News. In Joy, Travolta shared many details about the movie. He said, "Everybody has a favorite scene in Pulp Fiction. It could be the Jack Rabbit Slim. It could be the Uma scene. Or it could be what's in the briefcase." While he was going on and on about the movie, C cut him off and shared a secret that no one knew before. This was exactly what Pulp Fiction was all about. Pulp Fiction was almost like a Picasso painting. It broke all the rules. It was out of sequence, C explained. Travolta's character dies in the middle of the film and then comes back, and it just kind of works in a way that I don't think anyone, including Quentin, expected. While many people watched Pulp Fiction and thought it was the best movie ever, behind the scenes it was a movie that broke lots of rules, even the ones Tarantino never expected. Tarantino won hearts. While people saw the chemistry and love amongst the cast and director as fake, it was real. And the cast has attested to this over and over again. Apart from winning the hearts of people through his superb directing skills, Tarantino won the hearts of his actors, and this is a rare feat to achieve in the movie industry. His ability to work well with others earned him the recognition and love of many, and one of them was Vanity Fair contributing editor Mark Seal. In one of his articles for the magazine's 2013 Hollywood issue, he read, "In late 1992, Quentin Tarantino left Amsterdam, where he had spent 5 months, off and on, in a one-room apartment with no phone or fax, writing the script that would become Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction changed the movie landscape forever, and it made Quentin Tarantino. John Travolta also could not hold back his joy when talking about working with Tarantino, and he shared happily, "It's difficult in the modern age of film to have a vision, and Quentin is a visionary. Quentin sets an atmosphere where you are free to create your role without inhibitions, and he gives you lots of opportunities to explore." It's a very calm and nurturing arena, and if something needs to be directed in another way, he will gently guide you there. Mostly, he instills confidence. He continued, "Dancing is always exciting and never intimidating to me. The dance steps were a blast to work out because he allowed me to contribute some of my novelty dances that I grew up with. Beyond the twist, I added the swim, the Batman, and some other steps that were improvised. But Quentin definitely set the style in which they were to be done, which was very reflective of the Godard movie Bande à part. Also the name of Tarantino's production company at the time that he had us watch. Quentin symbolizes for me that urge that young talent has, that desire to do something, to say something, to be, to take action," said Keitel. There are many more comments about the director. Let's explore them. While talking on Variety, Ving, who acted the role of Marcellus Wallace, shared, "Quentin allowed me to make my own choices. We had some rehearsals, and I played who I thought the character was, a king and a gangster." Even Eric Stoltz, who played the role of Lance, shared good comments about the director. He said, "Quentin handed me the script and said, 'Take a look at the two guys who wear robes and let me know which one you'd like to play.' That's a rare and wonderful way to offer an actor something truly. Tarantino won the hearts of many. However, it will surprise you to discover that John Travolta would not have been on the set at first. In fact, there were many oppositions against him." What? Yeah, it's true. Let's explore that. The battle bringing John Travolta on board was a great battle, and things got more intense when Tarantino decided to make him the leading man. Things got hot on the set because many insiders thought his best days were behind him. They felt John's presence on set was going to ruin things. Despite all their comments, Tarantino was not bothered. "I wasn't the hot ticket at that moment, so he really had to fight for me," Travolta said. He finally said, "Listen, we either go with John or I'm not going to do the movie. And so I thought, I'd better deliver for this guy because he means business and he's so sweet to believe in me so much." According to Tarantino, he decided to bring in John Travolta because he wanted him to reclaim the charisma he had flashed on screen in Saturday Night Fever and Grease. Tarantino believed that the audience would love to see John's dance again. While they were making Pulp Fiction, he asked him to do the twist. However, John had other ideas. "I said, like, the twist is fun and it's good," I said. "But when I was a kid, there were equally fun novelty dances. There was the swim and there was the hitchhiker. And then, of course, on the TV series Batman, Catwoman did this dance like this," he said, demonstrating the iconic gesture from the film. But one thing was sure, John's presence on the set was because of Tarantino's stubbornness. Pulp Fiction meant creativity behind the scenes. One thing that the audience didn't know was that beyond performance, the cast and every other person were being creative. Working on the movie meant bringing out your best and improvising when needed. Sandy Wasco, the set decorator, shared important information about this. In an interview she shared, "We felt free to bring in different genres, so we mixed in different architectural styles to separate the stories. So we had the mid-century Hawthorne Grill, and then Jackrabbit Slims, the Craftsman Bungalow for Jodie and Eric Stoltz's character. We had the Polynesian post-war family room for the watch sequence." Apart from Sandy, other actors shared that Tarantino allowed everyone to express themselves and work freely on set. It was a fun moment for all. Rare storytelling. One thing that led to the success of the movie was Tarantino's unique storytelling. Surprised? Let's delve into that. Actors are used to the conventional linear storytelling format, but for Tarantino, the reverse was the case. He believed that sticking to the conventional ways would make the movie boring. Guess what he did? He rejected the storytelling format and opted instead for a fragmented timeline. He decided to craft his narrative structure, and this decision turned out to be the best for them. According to movie analysts, the storytelling format invited the audience to actively engage with the film, piecing together its events like a puzzle. The non-linear narrative wasn't just a gimmick. It amplified the tension and allowed the audience to see characters and events from different perspectives. This added depth and meaning to the story. Each chapter of the film, especially Vincent Vega and Marcellus Wallace's wife, the gold watch, and the Bonnie situation, is a self-contained tale, and it adds to the beauty of the film. For instance, The diner robbery scene that happened at the opening was not interesting at first, but when it was revisited in the end, it became more impactful, with the audience later understanding Jules's moral transformation. Another uniqueness about the movie, according to many, is Tarantino's use of dialogue to drive the plot. Relying on dialogue rather than using traditional action sequences was completely innovative, and seeing unnecessary conversations like Vincent and Jules discussing fast food or foot massages added beauty to the characters, and this built tension in unexpected ways. Also, the slow build-up to shocking moments like the accidental shooting of Marvin made the film's surprises all the more effective. Walken added that the dialogue helped as well. He shared, "It was 8 pages of dialogue, it was a monologue, really, and I'd had it for months. I would spend some time with it every day, and every time I got to the thing at the end of handing the kid the watch, it made me laugh. Really, every time for months, I went in and shot the scene quickly in a few hours, and I remember the little boy was there and they shot him, but after a couple of hours he got sleepy, so I did the rest of the shots just looking into the lens." After the success of the movie, many filmmakers loved his narrative style, and they decided to adopt it. For instance, Christopher Nolan made sure to incorporate it when producing Memento. Alejandro González Iñárritu also made use of the narrative style in 21 Grams. After this, Tarantino showed the world that storytelling could be an art form in itself, encouraging directors to take risks and experiment with narrative structure. The location, a contributing factor. While making the movie, Tarantino made sure the cast members blended easily with the locations and places they would use. This helped them to easily act without any stress. Let's hear from the cast members. While talking about the house used, Arquette shared, "We were in a cramped, stuffy little house and it was real, so you felt like they lived in this messy place. He's eating cereal. She collects her shoes. When you're put in an environment that feels so real for the scene that you're about to do, it just enhances everything to a great space. We were feeling it in that room, and that's because we were really prepared. Once you're in your place, you know where the camera's going to be this way, so you don't have to do anything except do the work and let it flow." Sandy Wasco also added, "Bonnie and Jimmy's house was really tough to find, but it was just the perfect location because it was the most feminine thing in the whole movie, and it just made the whole situation completely absurd." Clearly, Tarantino paid great attention to the places they used throughout the movie. He was meticulous. Blurry genre. Do you know that Pulp Fiction does not have a definite genre? Oh yes, it doesn't. And this is one of Pulp Fiction's greatest achievements, its ability to defy and blend genres. Reports reveal that Tarantino's ability to blend genres made it possible to create a film that feels both fresh and timeless. Since there was no definite genre, it was easy for people to watch it at different seasons. At its core, it's a crime movie, but it doesn't conform to the typical structure or tone of the genre. Instead, it incorporates elements of dark comedy, drama, thriller, and even romance, keeping audiences constantly guessing what will happen next. Many movie analysts shared that the genre-blending approach gives Pulp Fiction its unique tone. For instance, moments of tension were easily broken by humor, and deep philosophical discussions unfolded amid chaos. Additionally, by refusing to be confined to a single genre, Tarantino created a film that appeals to a diverse range of audiences, inspiring countless filmmakers to experiment with storytelling and tone. About the tone, Dwayne Whitaker, who acted the role of Maynard, shared, "In someone else's hands, those sequences could have been really awful, because it's a matter of the tone. Pulp Fiction isn't just a crime film, a comedy, or a drama. It's all of these and more, a proof to the boundless potential of cinema when traditional rules are broken." Pulp magazines inspired the movie. When the movie Pulp Fiction was released, people often wondered if it had any connection to pulp magazines. Though the movie's title was a nod to Pulp magazine, it was not completely inspired by the magazine. However, they influenced Tarantino in one way or another. Known for their sensational and gritty stories, Tarantino takes the inspiration and elevates it. Gradually, he was able to deliver a film that was filled with sensational moments, but grounded in sharp writing and layered characters. Violence, which was a hallmark of crime films, is present, but often offset by humor and absurdity. This was evident in the accidental shooting of Marvin, which turns a grisly moment into one of the film's funniest scenes. The Samuel Jackson moment. While many were so fixated on Travolta's role, it will surprise you to know that Samuel L. Jackson's role was equally unique. Jackson played Jules, the philosophical hitman. Reporters shared that his role stands out as one of cinema's most compelling anti-heroes. His commanding presence and delivery of Tarantino's masterful dialogue brought Jules to life. That's not all. In the film, Jackson was able to easily transform from a cold-blooded man who finds it easy to take another person's life to someone seeking redemption, which added a surprising layer of depth to the character. Also, there were claims that Jules's monologue quoting Ezekiel 25 verse 17 was one of the film's most iconic moments. In that scene, he was able to blend intimidation, spirituality, and self-discovery. He did it in a way that only Tarantino could achieve. The interesting part is that whenever we talked about those scenes, it felt like fun to him. Let's hear from him. We rehearsed the scene where John and I are walking up to the apartment to retrieve the briefcase from Marvin and his friends for quite a while. We even had the number of steps counted off from the trunk to the door, so we could really get our beats down and wrap our minds around that long, talky scene about Tony Rocky horror and foot massages. That process was a lot of fun for all of us. The actors didn't have any awareness of those continuity differences while we were shooting. I think he included them because they were the best takes, but also because they fit the grindhouse film tone that I think Quentin had in mind for Pulp Fiction. Those movies had all sorts of continuity errors and jump cuts and hair in the gate, and it added to the charm of them, so I just think he liked them aesthetically. Chen, the hidden helper. Quentin Tarantino was not the only one working on Pulp Fiction. Yeah, you heard that, right? Behind the scenes, he had help and lots of it. Do you want to find out who his helper was? Keep on watching and engage the comment section if you loved the video till this point. While Tarantino was applauded and celebrated for his great work, it will surprise you to know that he wasn't the only one responsible for the success. Behind the scenes, he was helped by Chen. Tarantino met Chen when she was working as a typist and unofficial script consultant for Robert Towne. Robert was the venerable screenwriter of Chinatown. When the two of them met, Tarantino was smitten by her work. Quentin was fascinated by the way I worked with Towne and his team, Chen says, explaining that she basically lived at Towne's condominium, typing, researching, and offering feedback in the preparation of his movie The Two Jakes. He would ask the guys for advice, and if they were vague or disparate, he would say, "What did the chink think?" she recalls. Quentin found this dynamic of a genius writer and secret weapon amusing. She continues, "It began with calls where he was just reading pages to me. Then came more urgent calls asking her to join him for midnight dinners. They got closer and worked on the script. However, Chen was not revealed to the public. According to her, she had to pick him up on many occasions because he couldn't drive. At that moment, he had lots of unpaid parking tickets. Chen revealed that she knew Tarantino was a mad genius waiting to be revealed to the world. In an interview, Tarantino once shared that his first drafts looked like The Diaries of a Madman. Jokingly, Chen says they were even worse. His handwriting is atrocious. He's a functional illiterate. I was averaging about 9,000 grammatical errors per page. After I would correct them, he would try to put back the errors because he liked them. In an interview, Chen was asked, "Did you ever feel like you were working on a modern cinematic masterpiece?" To this question, she answered, "Not at all." However, she did go on to be the unit photographer on the film. So, there you have it. The unveiling of Chen, the hidden helper who assisted Tarantino in making Pulp Fiction a success. The pressure. Though things look great and perfect while making the movie, behind the scenes Tarantino went through a lot of pressure so he could do a good job with the movie. The producer, Lawrence Bender, and TriStar Pictures had invested $900,000 in the film to develop the project. With that huge sum of money, he was constantly on Tarantino's neck to deliver the script, which was late at the moment. This affected Tarantino a lot, and he had to turn to Chen for help again. Because of this, Chen, who was dog-sitting for a screenwriter in his Beverly Hills home, invited Tarantino to move in. He arrived with only the clothes on his back, she says, and he crashed on the couch. During this period, Chen worked without collecting a dime from Tarantino, however. on the condition that he would rabbit sit Honey Bunny, her pet, when she went on location. Tarantino was stressed out and pressured. He was so fixed on meeting up with deadlines that he refused, and the rabbit later died. In honor of the rabbit, Tarantino named the character in Pulp Fiction played by Amanda Plummer in homage to it. Tarantino further shared that his screenplay of 159 pages was completed in May 1993. Chen says, "On the cover, Quentin had me type May 1993 last draft, which was his way of signaling that there would be no further notes or revisions at the studio's behest," says Chen. The uneducated director. You are about to discover a mind-blowing secret about Quentin Tarantino. Do you know that Tarantino was not well educated as a director? He was a self-taught, untested talent, and he spent his formative years working in a video store. This secret about the director is hidden from many, but it's true. Many analysts shared that for Tarantino to have been able to bring out a unique piece despite his lack of education meant a lot. He was truly a gem. Janet Maslin in the New York Times wrote, "You don't merely enter a theater to see Pulp Fiction, you go down a rabbit hole." John Ronson, critic for The Independent in England, proclaimed, "Not since the advent of Citizen Kane has one man appeared from relative obscurity to redefine the art of movie-making." A little journey down time revealed that 7 years earlier, in 1986, Tarantino was a 23-year-old part-time actor and high school dropout, broke and without an apartment of his own. He rarely showers. Also, with no agent on his side, he sent out scripts that never got past low-level readers. "Too vile, too vulgar, too violent," was the usual reaction, he later said. According to Quentin Tarantino, by Wensley Clarkson, his constant use of the F-word in his scripts caused one studio rep to write to Catherine James, his early manager, to get him off the script. How hilarious. Meeting the director, Keitel has shown his admiration and respect for Tarantino over and over again. Ironically, they didn't meet under favorable conditions. Keitel had heard about Tarantino from the theater director Lily Parker. Parker was Keitel's colleague at the actor's studio. She simply said, "I have a screenplay I think you're going to like." I got stuck. I couldn't speak about it. I just wanted to sit with it, which I did for several days, until I called Lawrence Bender. Not long after they had this conversation, Tarantino arrived at the house Keitel was renting in Los Angeles. Keitel shared their first encounter. He said, "I opened the door and it was this tall, gawky-looking guy staring at me, and he said, 'Harvey Keitel?' And I said, 'It's Keitel,'" the actor remembers. "And it began there. I offered him something to eat, and he ate a lot. I said, 'How'd you come to write this script? Did you live in a tough guy neighborhood growing up?' He said, 'No.' I said, 'Was anybody in your family connected with tough guys?' He said, 'No.' I said, 'Well, how the hell did you come to write this?' And he said, 'I watch movies.' The rest, they say, is history." After this, Keitel signed on as a lead actor. His commitment and support to the movie helped raise $1.5 million to produce it, but most importantly, he was able to build a great relationship with Tarantino. The pay cut. Do you know that one of the actors suffered a pay cut while working on Pulp Fiction? What? Why? Hold on and let's get answers. Apart from Pulp Fiction being a great movie, behind the scenes, John Travolta was not paid well. And, yeah, this aspect is often overlooked. When John played Vincent Vega, his role was unforgettable. However, no one remembered to talk about his paycheck. Many believed he would waltz onto the set and walk away with a king's ransom. Surprisingly, that didn't happen. Despite all the great accolades and applause, John Travolta didn't walk away with a bag full of cash.
You weren't making the kind of money that you would normally make for a picture.
Oh no, most of us
He was paid a modest $150,000 for his role. This sounds unbelievable because the movie was a great success. The movie made great headlines and even won the Palme d'Or at Cannes. It constantly snagged multiple Oscar nominations and bagged an Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay. Critics loved the movie, obviously, and it had a sizzling 92% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. This was a movie everyone saw as one of the greatest flicks of all time. Everyone expected Travolta to be paid millions, but this is the truth. He wasn't. The lawsuit. Another great secret hidden from the screen was the lawsuit Quentin Tarantino faced after the movie's release. The lawsuit happened between Tarantino and Miramax LLC over the film's copyright. Miramax had sued Tarantino because of Pulp Fiction's non-fungible tokens. After many back and forths, they decided to settle the case amicably. According to court records, they planned to file dismissal papers within 2 weeks. This information was shared by the federal court in California. Despite Tarantino's attempts to hide this, it was impossible. Later, Tarantino and Miramax said in a joint statement that they have put the matter behind them. They claimed that they were eagerly looking forward to future collaborations, including possible NFT projects. From court records, their case involved one of the intellectual property disputes over the popular digital assets known as NFTs. Miramax, which distributed the landmark 1994 film, sued Tarantino in November 2021 after blockchain provider Secret Network announced it would be selling several tokens of uncut Pulp Fiction scenes. Miramax also shared in the lawsuit that it held all rights to Pulp Fiction except specific ones reserved for Tarantino, which it said did not cover NFTs. The studio asked the court to block the sale. In a June filing, Tarantino shared that the case should be thrown out because the NFTs are based solely on his screenplay, which he said is covered by a separate copyright. The NFTs also contain handwritten Pulp Fiction scripts and commentary from Tarantino. According to Secret Network, the first of the 7 tokens sold for $1.1 million. Secret Network also canceled the remaining auctions several days later, citing extreme market volatility. The angry Jackson before the filming of the movie. During the auditions, a fight nearly happened. Let's get the full details. According to Samuel L. Jackson, when he met Tarantino, he was told that the role of hitman Jules Winfield was already his. Hearing this gladdened his heart, but to his surprise he learned that he needed to audition for the role after Paul Calderon had seriously impressed the directors and producers with his read. This got on his nerves and he nearly lost his cool. "I sort of was angry, pissed, tired," Jackson said of going in to read against Calderon, adding he even stopped to pick up a fast food burger to bring with him during his audition. Later, producer Richard Gladstein shared what happened on that day. He walked in and just started sipping that shake and biting that burger and looking at all of us. "I was scared less. I thought that this guy was going to shoot a gun right through my head. His eyes were popping out of his head." And he just stole the part. Many shared that this was probably one of the reasons Jackson was angry with the audition.
And I was like, the movie would have been much better with me in it. Duh! Yeah.
When somebody came to bring him in, they said, "I love your work, Mr. Fishburne." According to Jackson, whenever he heard this went on in his head. It was like a slow burn. "He doesn't know who I am?" I was kind of like, "K-it." At that point, I really didn't care. The relatively small film. While many cast members gave beautiful comments about the film for Uma Thurman, the reverse was the case. In the film, Thurman played the role of Mia Wallace. Mia was a failed actress and the wife of the crime lord Marcellus Wallace. The film's studio, Miramax, originally preferred Holly Hunter or Meg Ryan for the role, but Tarantino refused. He wanted Thurman on set at all costs. After meeting with many others, he knew Thurman was the best person for the role. While Tarantino was busy fighting to keep Thurman's spot in the film, she made light of it all. In an interview with the UK's The Times, the 55-year-old actress said of the movie, "I knew it was special. You could tell from the writing, the uniqueness, but it was a relatively small film." The black suits. Do you remember Vincent and Jules's iconic black suits? Guess what? It was all improvised by Tarantino. However, each actor made sure to put their own sartorial mark on their respective characters. For Travolta, this meant adding extensions to his hair to achieve a Euro haircut, which is sometimes Euro trash and sometimes elegant. He explained, "Tarantino was hesitant and I said, 'Please at least look at me in this.' And I got the hair extensions and I worked on them. I put my best foot forward on the test." That just killed it, the deal that birthed Pulp Rush. After Tarantino wrote the script, he needed money, and he had nothing. Later, he met Lawrence Bender, the producer who brought the script to Jersey Films. Lawrence brought in Pulp Fiction before seeing Reservoir Dogs. After checking the script, Jersey had attempted to sign Tarantino for his next project. After many deliberations, a development deal worth around $1 million had been struck. The deal gave A-Band Apart, Bender and Tarantino's newly formed production company, initial financing, and office facilities. Gradually, they started working on the script. However, Jersey got a share of the project and the right to shop the script to a studio. Jersey had a distribution and first look deal with Columbia TriStar, which paid Tarantino for the right to consider exercising its option. Later, in February, Pulp Fiction appeared on a variety list of films in pre-production at TriStar. But there were issues. According to a studio executive, TriStar chief Mike Medavoy found it too demented. There were suggestions that TriStar was resistant to backing a film featuring a substance user. Also, there were indications that the studio simply saw the project as too low budget for its desired star-driven image. Avery, on the other hand, talked about the studio's position. He said, "This is the worst thing ever written. It makes no sense. Someone's dead and then they're alive. It's too long, violent, and unfilmable." So I thought, that's that. Pulp Fiction is a movie that explores crime in a different style than others. Tarantino's ability to bring uniqueness and originality to the film made it the talk of the town. The film has also revealed to many that what we see on camera is a small part of what actually happens behind the scenes. What can you say about the movie? Share your thoughts in the comments. Remember to hit the like button and subscribe.